Welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the second annual running of the NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series Coca Cola 600. This will mark the second half of the regular season with only 5 races left until the playoffs. Which driver will be able to gain some momentum heading into those playoffs? Now let's take a look at some of your drivers to watch, presented by Pro Gear Tires. Erik Jones gives Toyota their first pole in the NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series today here for the Coca Cola 600 with a blazing fast lap during qualifying. Erik Jones is currently 21st in points and is looking to turn his season around with a good performance here today. Can he have a good performance and possibly get Toyota's first win today? Again, Austin Dillon, he's always a threat every week as he's your points leader. Although he starts a little bit further back tonight, will he be able to work his way up towards the front and be in position to win this race? Our most recent winner was Daniel Suarez. He won the All-Star race here at this racetrack a few weeks ago, and he starts 20th today. Though he'll have a pretty tall task ahead of him, let's see if he can work his way back up to the front and try to gain a good finishing position. Speaking of winners, Ryan Newman is your defending Coca-Cola 600 and returns after suffering a concussion at the Northville City Race Center. Ty Dillon filled his spot during the All-Star race and finished second in that race. Ryan Newman starts 26th today. Let's see if he can work his way towards the front. And finally, NASCAR Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes his first of 3 starts in the NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series tonight. He rolls off 7th tonight and will make his first of 3 here at Charlotte and then later at Talladega in Texas. So now let's go on board on our GoPro on-track car to see this Charlotte Motor Speedway in action. It's similar to last season's format with a little bit of difference with a runoff at the end of the track to try to keep the cars from crashing. Now let's head trackside for the command fire engines.
Drivers, start your engines!
The engines have been fired, and we are ready to go racing here tonight from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Your pace car driver tonight is SMCS Racing Network. He is driving in a 2005 Joe Nemechek 01 U.S. Army car to commemorate the Coca Cola 600. Now, if you would like to be the pace car driver for the next race, be sure to find Terry's RV somewhere on the back stretch during tonight's race. Now let's take a look at some of your race facts for tonight's Coca Cola 600. There are 36 cars in tonight's field due to the growing number of teams wanting in to the NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series. And this is one of the few races that they're expanding the field. And there are only 2 cars dropping to the rear tonight. The 32 car of Corey LaJoie, who failed pre-race inspection, and the 47 car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for unapproved adjustments. So now let's take a look at your open driver qualifying times, as Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Ross Chastain were locked in to the Coca Cola 600 because Dale Earnhardt Jr. got an invitational to race in tonight's event, and Ross Chastain was highest in the points. So that left 8 drivers to fight for 5 positions, and those drivers to get in were Corey LaJoie, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., John Hunter Nemechek, Kiko Moon, and Ryan Preece. And Timmy Hill, Cody Ware, and Chad Fincham were missed out on the Coca Cola 600. So now we're ready for segment number 1 to begin, and this segment is a banger. In row 1, you got your pole sitter, Erik Jones, and right next to him is Brad Keselowski. Row 2, your points leader, Austin Dillon, and the 24 car of William Byron. In row 3 is the 9 car of Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. Then in row 4 is the 22 car of Joey Logano and the 17 car of Chris Buescher. Then rounding out the field, in the 01 car is Kiko Moon. Eric Jones is able to hold off Austin Dillon and Brian Keselowski to take home the segment win as we take a look at the replay. Lap 1, Austin Dillon was able to get around Eric Jones to take the position away, and that third position will be vital for a lot of drivers tonight. Then lap 2, Eric Jones was able to get around on the high side of Austin Dillon. And heading lap 3, William Byron is able to get by for second as Eric Jones and Austin Dillon make some contact entering the corner. So then heading to the final lap, lap number 4, it would be Eric Jones and William Byron leading the field, and Eric Jones got off to a good start. He gets a little bit tangled up with William Byron, but he's able to hold on to the lead and able to win segment number 1. Eric Jones finishes first, Brad Keselowski second, Austin Dillon third, William Byron finishes 4th, Kyle Busch 5th, Chris Buescher in 6th, Kiko Moon 7th, Chase Elliott in 8th, and then Joey Logano in 9th. We are now ready for segment number 2 to begin, and row 1 is the 4 car of Kevin Harvick and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the filter times number 8. In row 2 is the 41 of Cole Custer, and in the 1 car it is Kurt Busch. In row 3, 2 Hendrick teammates, the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson, and his replacement is Alex Bowman. Then in row 4, returning from a concussion, is Ryan Newman and the rookie John Hunter Nemechek. Then running out of the field, another rookie is Christopher Bell. Kevin Harvick's able to win segment number 2 and join Eric Jones in the final stage, but with having a little bit of trouble as Dale Earnhardt Jr. seemed to be the car to beat, as he had a fast race car through the first 3 laps as he was able to hold on to the lead. Lap 2 was kind of the same story, although Harvick got a little bit closer near the end, but he wasn't really close to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s level by that point. Then lap 3 got a little bit closer as he got Earnhardt Jr. a little bit loose, but Kurt Busch was almost got around Kevin Harvick to steal second away. But heading into the final lap, he gets a good push from his teammate Cole Custer, and that propels him to the lead, and that gives him what he needs to win stage number 2. Kevin Harvick first, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to finish second, Cole Custer third, Ryan Newman drives his way up to 4th, Kurt Busch 5th, Jimmy Johnson finishes 6th, Alex Bowman 7th, Christopher Bell in 8th, and then John Hunter Nemechek in 9th. We move now to segment number 3. In row 1 is the 12 car of Ryan Blaney and the 42 car of Matt Kenseth. Then in row 2, the driver who's been the surprise driver of the season, it's Ross Chastain next to Eric Almirola. Row 3, your Daytona 500 winner, Daniel Hemrick, next to the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. Then in row 4 is Matt DiBenedetto and Kyle Larson. The riding out of the field is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Eric Almirola wrecks out of this race after kind of a tough break for Eric Almirola. But first, let's take a look at what happened here through the race. Lap 1, Ryan Blaney was able to hold the lead from Matt Kenseth, but Ross Chastain was able to move to the second position. Heading to lap 2, Ross Chastain could not quite get around Ryan Blaney, and he would stay in second place, so nothing major would change here. Then heading to lap 3, I think this is where Almirola gets wrecked. I think he just runs a little bit. No, actually, Kenseth runs him up the track and put him into the wall maybe, and I believe that's going to be what causes the caution here. Interesting. So we have 1 lap to go left in segment number 3. Ross Chastain's able to pass Ryan Blaney to take home the segment win as we take a look at the replay here. Yeah, he just does enough to block Blaney and to keep him from passing. And it looks like Daniel Hemrick and Denny Hamlin were able to take second and third away as it looked like Blaney got caught up with Matt Kenseth. That's going to push him further back in the field. So Ross Chastain is going to finish first, Daniel Hemrick second, Denny Hamlin third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Matt Kenseth fifth, Kyle Larson finishes sixth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. seventh, Matt DiBenedetto eighth, and Eric Almirola, who wrecked out, in ninth. We now move to segment number 4. Row 1 is the 8 car of Tyler Reddick and the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. In row 2, the 14 car of Clint Bowyer and your all-star race winner, and the 35 car is Daniel Suarez. In row 3, in the 43 Air Force Warhogs car, it is Bubba Wallace next to Joseph West. Then it's Eddie Gallagher next to Ryan Preece. And rounding on the field, making his debut, Corey LaJoie in the number 32 Scooby-Doo car. Martin Truex Jr. becomes the second Toyota to move on to the final stage, joining Eric Jones as we take a look at the replay. He was able to pass Tyler Reddick on lap 1 and really never gave it back. He only faced a challenge heading to lap 4. But watch Eddie Gallagher and Corey LaJoie. They were able to work their way up on the first lap, and nothing really happened on lap 2. But heading into lap 3 and 4, they did a great job working together and trying to make up ground to see if they can make it past the lead. As you see here, they get a little bit of a nudge with help with Tyler Reddick, but ultimately Martin Truex Jr. was able to block that to keep them from passing. Here's where things get a little bit interesting, though. Here goes Corey LaJoie and Eddie Gallagher get a good jump, but Martin Truex Jr. gets tangled with Tyler Reddick, letting Eddie Gallagher go. But Martin Truex Jr. is able to power on the high side to take home this segment win. Martin Truex Jr. is going to finish first. Eddie Gallagher finishes second. Bo Wallace third. Corey LaJoie is going to finish fourth in his first start. Daniel Suarez fifth. Tyler Reddick sixth. Ryan Preece in seventh. Clint Bowyer falls back to eighth. And Joseph West finishes ninth. We'll take a quick break and be right back with the Challenge and Constellation race. Welcome back. We are ready for the Consolation race, where 2 Fords, the 12 car of Ryan Blaney and the 32 car of Corey LaJoie, will lead the field down. Only 2 drivers will manage to move on to the Challenger race. Ryan Newman is out of this Consolation race early, as let's take a look at the replay to see what happened. Okay, Ryan Blaney and Corey LaJoie are leading the field. Ryan Newman's on the outside, and I don't know what happened. He might have hit a wall, or he might have hit a piece of debris. Let's just see what happened. It looked like Clint Bowyer also went off the racetrack, so let's see if we can see any better. It looked like he hits a piece of debris, and same thing for Clint Bowyer. I'm not completely sure what that was, but it's gonna knock out Ryan Newman of this Consolation race. We have 3 laps to go. Corey LaJoie and William Byron are able to move on to the Challenger race as they finished in the top 2 positions. Let's look at the replay on how they did. Lap 2, Ryan Blaney was able to get around Corey LaJoie to take the lead, and it looked good for him at this point. Then heading to lap 3, Corey LaJoie was able to get around Ryan Blaney and able to block Ryan Blaney from passing him as we got near the backstretch. Then heading to the final lap, This is where William Byron makes his pass as he gives Corey LaJoie a great push and then manages to side draft off Ryan Blaney to win the second spot and to be the second driver to move on to the Challenger race. Corey LaJoie finishes first, William Byron second, Ryan Blaney finishes third, Matt Kenza fourth, Tyler Reddick finishes fifth, Kurt Busch sixth, Kyle Busch seventh, Daniel Suarez, your All-Star race winner, in eighth, Clint Boyer in ninth, and then Ryan Newman in 10th, who hit some debris earlier in this race. It is now time for the Challenger race, where the top 4 drivers will move on to the final stage. Here, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Brad Keselowski are in row 1, Daniel Hemrick and Eddie Gallagher in row 2, Austin Dillon and Cole Custer in row 3, Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin in row 4, and then in row 5, your Consolation race winners, Corey LaJoie and William Byron. Brad Keselowski is out of this race after a disappointing wreck here, as not really he wanted to see, as it looked like he was going to move on from this Challenger race and have a chance to be a threat in the final stage. But here's the replay of the past few laps. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in control of this entire race so far, as Keselowski was trying to get around him, with Austin Dillon trying to give him a push and Daniel Hemrick, but that was not happening. So then Brad Keselowski is going to get a decent-sized run here, but you can see here Dale Earnhardt Jr. Tries to block Keselowski. He's definitely not clear. That forces him up the racetrack to get 3 wide, and he ultimately, I think, grazes the wall and kills some momentum, and he is out of this race. So we have 1 lap to go to determine who moves on to the final stage. Austin Dillon is now out of the Challenger race after he wrecks out in a similar wreck to Brad Keselowski's wreck as we take a look at the replay. This time, however, he might have bounced off Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to look for a way to pass around him, and that did not really work. It looked like he tried to side draft Dale Earnhardt Jr., but he could not. As you see here, he gets 3 wide with Hemrick and Cole Custer, and that definitely did not work. But that's going to allow William Byron to take that 4th spot away from Austin Dillon, as that is not very good for your points leader, as that's his first time missing out inside the final stage. Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishes first, Cole Custer second, William Byron going to finish third, Daniel Hemrick finishes 4th, Bubba Wallace 5th, Denny Hamlin 6th, Corey LaJoie 7th, Eddie Gallagher 8th, Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski 9th and 10th, who both wrecked out. It is now time for the final stage. In row 1 is the 20 car of Eric Jones and the 4 car of Kevin Harvick. In row 2, Eric Jones' teammate in the 19 car is Martin Truex Jr. and the 77 car is Ross Chastain. Row 3, the 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the rookie of Cole Custer. They're not in the field. The 24 car of William Byron and the 31 car of Daniel Hemrick, who will win the Coca Cola 600. Eric Jones is able to get Toyota's first NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series win here at the Coca Cola 600 and win at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. A heck of a performance for Eric Jones as he and Martin Truex Jr. are going to finish 1-2 tonight. As he was on rails tonight, he managed to take the lead right out of the gate and hold on to it by a large margin for the rest of this race. And this is going to be a well-deserved celebration for Toyota and Eric Jones. And this is really going to boost Eric Jones into the playoffs, as he was only 21st in points entering this race today. This was the final lap. Martin Truex Jr. came close to passing, but Eric Jones had a big enough block there to keep him from getting around his teammate. And Eric Jones is going to finish first. Martin Truex Jr. finishes second. Kevin Harvick third. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his first start finishes fourth. Ross Chastain fifth. Daniel Hemrick finishes sixth. William Byron finishes seventh, and Cole Custer in eighth. Now it's time for the Danny's Donut Shop victory celebration, as Eric Jones is going to burn it down here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Eric Jones wins in the Coca Cola 600 and gets his first career NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series win, and the Toyota's first as well. A great performance by Eric Jones as Martin Truex Jr. as Toyota goes 1-2 in today's race. Now let's take a look at your finishing results for the race. Again, Eric Jones and Martin Truex Jr. are going to finish 1-2 for Toyota. Actually, Denny Hamlin finishing 10th for Toyota. It's actually going to be a three drivers inside the top 10 for Toyota. A pretty good performance. Corey LaJoie, its first ever NASCAR NAHWCS Cup Series start, finishes 11th. A pretty good performance for him. And Eddie Gallagher sets one of his best performances of the season for the 12th performance. But Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski wrecked out in the Challenger race and finished 12th and 13th. Not good for their point situation. Another driver who's struggling in the point situation is your reigning champ, Jimmy Johnson. He finished 23rd today, and I believe he's still going to be outside the playoff cut line, as other drivers that are inside, like Joey Logano is one of them, and so is Alex Bowman. So those guys will take hits from their poor performances today, and they'll have to go to Dover and try to dig themselves out of a hole. Now let's take a look at your point standings after 6 races, with only 4 races left until the playoffs. Austin Dillon, Chastain, Hemrick, and Jones are all locked into the playoffs, with Cole Custer the highest, hasn't had a win. And Logano is only 4 points above Clint Boyer, who's 4 below. Keselowski is now minus 13, and Johnson's minus 13. So those guys are going to have to dig themselves out of a hole if they want to come back, try to defend their final 4 chances. So thank you so much for watching the Coca-Cola 600 here. The next race will be from Dover, as it will be the Dover doubleheaders, as there will be the Gander RV 400 and the AAA 400. I'm North, signing off.